Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV Podcast 532. Week after we've had a presidential election.
Yep.
A few days after another Q Series in the books. A few days before another Q Series event takes place.
That's true. We have a. It's not the Q Series finale though.
Not quite yet.
That's early December, right?
No, I think that's in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay, the end of November then.
Something like that. It's not quite here yet, but we are kind of officially, unofficially in other off-season considerations and conversations at this point. Most of our big tournaments have shifted to somewhere south, somewhere warmer, somewhere not in the Wisconsin area or Midwest. That's for sure.
It's not horrible here. It's chilly.
Sure.
Most of our top pros would probably not enjoy playing. Maybe other than Gannon Burr.
And he even headed out to Colorado. I think he's doing some disc signing and other things. So
I saw him at the NADGT doing signings.
Yep.
He's just he's floating around out there. But in general, you know, we're talking like 30, 40 degrees here. So not ideal, not compared to probably the 70 and 80 degrees we're seeing down south.
Why am I not in Guatemala still, or Uruguay or somewhere like that, where the baskets were officially installed? Congrats again to Moro and Peter and everyone else down there. I saw a picture today. The baskets were hung up in customs for weeks upon weeks. Ooh. Unfortunately, that's some of the red tape that gets dealt with when you're dealing with having these baskets go all around the world. And to see a basket permanently installed, the idea that they no longer have to carry a portable from hole to hole to hole, that alone should be pretty exciting. So congrats to them. And a little later, I'm going to give you guys some updates. Paul Macbeth Foundation, I know, is doing some end-of-the-year auctions for some incredible stuff. They're trying to raise a little bit more money, but also the things that you can win, including practice rounds and some other goodies, some tangible goodies, along with some experiences of a lifetime. That's all happening over at the Paul Macbeth Foundation. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Tonight, we're going to dive into the Q Series event that took place this weekend. And of course, I'm talking about the Merry Sunshine House Classic. There was some chatter online, wasn't there?
There was. And I've been pretty much checked out of disc golf for a little bit. Just kind of. It's been secondary to me. There's a few things I've checked out of in life the last week, one of which is disc golf, the other is politics, which is kind of fun. But even I couldn't avoid hearing about this course. I heard some chatter that people were saying, oh, it's too long, it's too difficult.
Toughest course they've ever played.
Toughest course that we've seen on, quote-unquote, on tour. People are saying that this could be a great DGBT event in a few years, depending on... There are some holes that still need cleaning up. And then I was like, oh, all right, I'm going to kind of dig into this. And I looked and I started seeing holes that are like 1,200 feet, 800 feet, 700 feet. And then I looked at the flyover and I went, ugh. Like, this could be miserable. Could be a lot of fun in the right conditions, but it absolutely could be miserable. And my understanding is that the right conditions to make it not fun happened on the final day of the event.
Yeah, when we added originally, we saw that there was going to be a chance for rain for potentially all 3 days. That got scaled back to only rain on the final day, turning our 4.5 hour rounds into 5.5 hours. That wasn't exactly our favorite way to close out, but we did have 2 good days, so you got to take the good with the bad there. And as you were just saying, lots of feedback coming in, and one of my favorite parts about that feedback is Brian Shop, who's the overseer of everything taking place out there. He doesn't have an ego when it comes to this, so the feedback that is coming in from players time and time again from a number of our top players, he's taking all of that. And then even today when I had a brief conversation with him kind of randomly as a follow-up, we started talking about media concerns. We said, hey, this tee area, there's not a lot of room because, as we know, the landscape, figuratively and literally, has changed so much when it comes to courses in the last few years that not only are you worried about the 4 players, but potentially up to probably 4 support people. Then you may have a marshal or some kind of person of that nature, an official, walking along a card that's trying to see what's going on, and then potentially a volunteer scorekeeper.
Or two.
But I'm just thinking of the T area. You're talking about all those people, and then you add anywhere from 1 to 2 to maybe 3 more media personnel. And that's just like the basics. That's standard at every single Pro Tour event right now. And we have those considerations that we didn't have 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it was the 4 people playing and maybe a girlfriend. Like, if we're just being real, that was about it. And so all of those things are being taken into consideration, and then you're talking about fairways and the green area, and then you follow that up with spectators. Where are they going to go? How can they see the action? What's the best viewing or vantage point for them as well? So a lot more things to consider than ever before, especially when you're talking about tightly wooded course. But the resounding counter to all of that is everyone saying, we're in the woods. This is what we love. This is where golf should be. This may or may not be too punishing right now, but we're in the woods and we're watching top players throw really difficult lines, and a winning score was 6 over for the weekend.
6 over. You could play 4 rounds at Northwood Black, and the score would be better.
Yes.
So to put that in perspective for the people who know Northwood Black, go out. Terry, you were there. You got to film all of this. Lucky you. Mm-hmm. And so it's out on your channel. It was put out overnight. So if you're really interested to watch a bunch of grown men and women suffer, by all means. But honestly, go take a look. Watch some of the footage. You'll get a better idea of the course. And it just, it was definitely a talking point this past. I would say Sunday and Monday more so is when I started to see it.
Yeah, just the fact that you're seeing scores that we're not used to seeing, and you're talking about high-rated players. You're talking about 10-17, 10-19, 10-14. Evan Smith, highest-rated player who doesn't live too far from there at 10-40. I mean, we're not talking about a bunch of sub 980 people that are going out there and struggling, as am I. They're struggling. You're talking about some of the best of the best that also were, trying to find their lines, so to speak. So certainly exciting. And in a few minutes, spoiler alert, we're going to be having our champion, our MPO champion from the event, joining us here. As soon as he pops back on into our digital green room, we're then going to welcome him into the show. While we wait just a moment or two for him to do that, we can go ahead and shout out our FPO winners and top performers. And of course, she said it best when she posted about owning South Carolina, getting extremely excited about her performance, as she should be. And that, of course, is Kat Murch, who has now won Hub City Halloween, Myrtle Beach, and Mary Sunshine House Classic. So as she posts on her line, 3 dubs back-to-back for the Merchinator. And then she goes on to say, the Oconee National Disc Golf Course was the hardest course I played all year. It's a fairly new track, so of course it was a bit raw. If you're planning to shoot well here, you've got to be able to trust your disc and trust yourself to commit, and then goes on to talk a little more about it. So, Kat Murch, your champion.
Yeah, she shot a 992, a 992, and then a 949, and she was able to win by 9 strokes. So, taking home $3,000. The payout in this event was outrageously good.
Yeah, there was a total of $40,000 added to the purse, of which I believe $32,000 went to the MPO side, where they had just shy of 100 competitors, and then the other $8,000 added went to the FPO side. So seeing Kat Murch take home $3,000 for her efforts, pretty incredible. And then Paige Shue taking second. She battled back during the final round. She got off to a really slow start overall, but battled back into second for $2,000. And then Sarah Hokum somehow shot 80, 80, and 80 for 3 very consistent rounds to finish on the podium in 3rd place. So $1,500 for her efforts. Congrats.
Tie for 4th place, you've got Jessica Weiss and Deanne Carey, both taking home $975. And again, like as I said, great payouts, not bad for an off-season event, because $3,000, that is that's not quite pro tour money, but that's getting up there.
Well, the fact that there was $3,000 and the FPO field was only how many deep? 18. So I think that's on par or nearly surpassing some of the
dollars per player.
Yes, exactly.
When you look at it at that point, yes, you are correct.
And silly enough, I think he's talking about Brian. This is your main man in charge. I think he's talking about having an even bigger Q Series event in 2025.
Wow,
it's already on the schedule for 2025. I think it's a couple weeks earlier, but even more added cash for next year.
He's going to get a reputation where bigger players are going to show up. So maybe it's good that our guest Noah got this one under his belt this year. Get himself a head start to learn the course, because the competition could get a little tougher if the payouts keep getting higher.
It certainly is going to. And with that, putting in his pocket the largest paycheck in his career just a couple days ago, just 48 hours ago, our champion from this weekend, Noah Meintsma.
Hello,
how you doing?
Guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Been great. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, yeah. Of course. We're happy to have you on, for sure.
So much talk. The last 5 minutes, we've been talking about kind of the narrative around this weekend. And there was a lot of chatter, obviously mostly coming from people who weren't there. But how do you summarize the experience of playing this incredibly difficult track?
Yeah, I mean, it really came down to that they had a giant goal to accomplish by creating what they were going for, and which they have done, but there just clearly has a few things that really just need to be finished with it. But overall, it's an amazing piece of property, and it's going to be there for a long time.
For everyone out there, this is about 15 minutes away from Clemson. Just to put it, to kind of give you guys a little geographical reference point, 90 total acres. And when it's all said and done, I think we're going to have 4 different courses or tracks or layouts that are going to be available. This being one of the longest.
We're just going to move the IDGC here?
I don't know. There's a lot of options, but when you first got to the course, let's back up a little bit. When you first got out there, what were some of your initial takeaways during practice?
Out there, I was in the rough so much. There wasn't going to be a place to really very often. Playing.
No, sorry. Even though our testing was great 10 minutes ago, it's not coming through so good right now. I don't know. All right, maybe you're a little bit better now. All right, let's try that again. Go ahead, start over. Sorry.
No, you're good. I really just thought it was going to be mostly scrambles and trying to stay obviously in the fairway, but that's not going to happen. So it's a lot of sidearm from the rough, not being able to throw a lot of rollers, and putting just seemed way more valuable because when you were in circle 1 or 2, it was such a rare thing. So it really kind of felt extra stressful to be able to make your putt.
Yeah, you really had to work hard to get to the green. Sometimes 3, 4, 5, 6 strokes finally gets
7.
you to the green. And then you're like, don't give any of the short ones away. Before round 1 scores came in, let me tell everyone, hottest score on the course was 1 over. First round. There were 3 guys that shot 1 over. Were you anticipating scores to be that high, so to speak?
I thought maybe we would see like a 3 down.
Okay.
Maybe 5 down at the best. But as soon as weather was on top of it, being first round, I'm not surprised that it was a round 1 over. It's just so difficult coming across. There's no gimme holes on the entire course besides really 16. But once you're that far in the round without a birdie, that feels so difficult.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're finally thinking, a little reprieve, but you may have already mentally given up by the time you get to hole 16. And 16
100%.
is, what, 300 and a little over 300 feet, slightly uphill. Not a lot of trees, but yeah, that's probably, like you said, one of the easiest holes out there. Um, what were some of the other conversations with other players? I mean, that's some of your feedback, but what were you guys saying around the campfire or in the clubhouse, whatever you want to call it? What were some of the conversations with other players?
I mean, I feel like everyone kind of turned into a course designer. Everyone really wanted to kind of give their feedback in mostly negative way. And it's kind of hard with a course like that to sometimes really realize that we have to be a lot more constructive with our criticism, not easily get distracted by just how massive the project is, that the course itself is. And so it's come a long way from a short time already. I was here a few months ago to try to practice, and it wasn't really even set up. So it was nice that I felt like it was still ready to be played, even though it was very challenging.
Yeah, I compare it to last year when we saw just a few of the holes that you guys played were ready last year, and then we were kind of playing other holes from what will be other courses out there. So it was a lot shorter, almost a hybrid. And now this track is, that much more built out. Is really impressive. Let's back up. You've been playing these last couple of weekends. How did you kind of pace out your end of season? And we'll say everything post, USDGC, post Pro Tour Championship. Like, what's been your game plan?
Yeah, I mean, I've been kind of trying to find a new manufacturer sponsor. So I've been signing up for a lot of things by myself this year.
Okay.
So I kind of just picked a few smaller A tiers to kind of go to and see how they went. And they've been going pretty well, and I've been able to sign up for more and more. And I just seem way more focused and driven now to be able to finally compete at a high level, and just play on league cards on A tiers has seemed just so valuable to play in front of a crowd, play on the league card, be contention for the actual win, even if it's not on the Pro Tour scale quite yet. So I feel like it really helped me when I did get to play on a Pro Tour type event this weekend.
And so I'm looking at your upcoming events. You've got the Q Series, the Jacksonville Open this weekend. Next week, or in early December, the Chain Hawk Open, where you'll probably maybe see Terry again, unfortunately. Do you already have a tour card for next year?
I'm kind of up in the air still on the tour card. I think I'm qualified to get a Silver Series, and that may just be the main events I want to play. Would be like a six Pro Tour full Elite Series events. But as far as the actual card goes, I will be playing the Q Series finale. But I mostly just want to get a bunch of reps in, again, like I was saying, on a high caliber event. Not necessarily that the tour card is my overall goal of going to the event.
Okay, and that was going to be my question about whether or not your goal was to earn a tour card through the Q Series. So what does this look like for you at the end? If you're looking for a sponsor, how does that work with someone like you? I mean, you're rated, 1021. You just went up 4 ratings points as of yesterday? Today. As of today. Congratulations. How does this process work for you? What are you doing in order to try to secure a sponsorship?
Well, I've been talking with a lot of peers on what their contracts and their seasons are going to look like in 2025, and it seems like disc golf is taking a mild step back, and as far as sponsorships go. And with where I've been with my open bag right now, I'm way too comfortable with it, and I wouldn't want to take a sponsorship that wasn't worth my time. And I feel like a lot of my other friends are kind of realizing that, or that are around the 10-20 level. So I'm still reaching out to companies, and I know quite a few people from the years of playing, but I'm really just kind of building my portfolio bigger and better, and just be more comfortable and confident on the course again, which is obviously everything with golf.
I've known you for quite a few years of, you being out of Minnesota. For those who don't know, that's where you're out of. You've had a couple of different sponsors, and it feels like you've also been, I don't want to say on and off the tour, but it feels like disc golf has kind of come and gone in terms of your main focus throughout the last couple of years. So who were you with before? And then I guess the follow-up is, what does an ideal sponsorship look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I was on Team Innova for 4 different seasons, and then I was on DGA for 3 seasons, and then this has been my first open bag year since not being on a manufacturer. And I've really loved trying out all these new Frisbees that I haven't got to try, being locked down to one different sponsor for X amount of time. So I feel like it's helped my game come tremendously far. But for next year, it'd really just be tough to, yeah, like I was saying, change up my bag and really think about a sponsorship unless it was like maybe a tour series disc or like eventually like a salary of some kind. Obviously, getting your events paid for is a really big thing, but if you're just talking like getting some type of merchandise and like maybe a handful of events paid for, it just seems like it wouldn't be worth my time.
Uh, does that immediately point us to, with what you just described, does that point us to, like I'll say a thought space or an infinite style sponsorship? I think Gateway sometimes offers either an open or a mixed bag. Is that kind of where you think you'd be leaning with the idea of being able to throw a few different manufacturers?
Potentially, I would really like to just get back on Innova again. I really have
Okay.
most of my bag being leaning that way, but I just know for the next season it's going to be kind of hard to get kind of what I'm looking for through them. But have I actually officially had conversations with them regarding 2025? I have not, but I just know from talking to peers that it might be looking like a very weird season with sponsorships, especially between the major contracts. But yeah, I could see myself doing like an Infinite or a Thought Space type thing, but um, I haven't really considered that fully and talked to them.
Isn't it crazy to think you're 10-20 rated and sponsorships are as competitive as they've ever been, like for what you want? But then also, I mean, let's rewind. And obviously you grew up playing against the likes of KL Aviska and a number of other really solid players in Minnesota. 10-20, you were a slam dunk on what basically any team you would want. Mm-hmm. And now disc golf has gotten that much more competitive. Are you feeling that?
No, I'm feeling that. It's making me kind of realize that, you have to go that next step into social media and into running events and just pretty much doing anything to get your name out there and make sure people know who you are if you're going to sell discs at the end of the day.
One of the things that you've been doing the last couple of years, getting out of Minnesota during the bitter cold months, and we've seen you in Arizona. This year, you have a different game plan, though. Describe how that looks for you over the next few months.
Yeah, I mean, I have 3 weekends straight of Florida events coming up. And then I'm going to be playing a lot of Florida again in the beginning of next season. They have about 7, 8, or 8 tiers coming up in January and February. So I'm looking forward to playing most of those that make sense for me, and maybe just doing a quick Christmas visit in Minnesota and doing a lot of my winter here.
And I know we were talking a little bit this weekend. Arizona, obviously great weather. It allows you to kind of fine tune your game, get some good reps in. However, you're opting for Florida, and I know you just mentioned a number of events. What exactly is it about Florida, say, versus Arizona? Because it feels like those are two of the main options right now for a lot of our players.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like there's some sneaky Texas, maybe some sneaky Cali, but Arizona and Florida seem to be the best home bases. I just really think that the golf in Arizona just doesn't have a lot of variety. And then on top of it, there's just like a lot of chewing your discs up. And there's not really a lot of tournaments with added cash or just like things to compete in general besides like leagues or minis. Mm-hmm. And Florida just seems to have so many sanctioned A-tier events and big B tiers, and you can give lessons every weekend, and the pros aren't saturated over here like it can be, because Arizona is really only Phoenix, but you can go anywhere in Florida and people are playing golf.
And do you have kind of a I see like Double G, obviously, and Jessica have been getting it back to Gainesville. We see a huge collection of people over in Pensacola. Have you kind of picked a Gavin Rathbun, who's, a transplant from Illinois, has kind of set up shop in Florida? Well, have you picked an area that has jumped out at you?
Yeah, I mean, Gavin's kind of the big guy that got me to coming down here in the off season, and he's been a staple in Bradenton, which is the south part of Tampa Bay, just across the bridge from St. Pete's, and that's been definitely more of my hub and home when I come to Florida now for the winter. So I would say the Tampa area, but Bradenton specifically.
Okay, and what does touring look like for you in terms of your accommodations, your setup, and how you roll around the country, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just doing my Ford Transit Connect van right now, and stay with a lot of friends that I've met over the years at their places. Sometimes I'll stay at hotels still, at Airbnbs, the Planet Fitness, the courses. I love when my friends can all camp at the course. It makes it feel a lot more old school tournament vibe and kind of small disc golf fan like that, but there's only a few courses that's really nice to actually stay at them.
Is there anything, as you're just talking about how busy it can be in Florida over the next couple of months, especially, then obviously we kick off the Disc Golf Pro Tour over at Olympus and such, but are there events that you've had your eye on that really have been, that you've been extra excited about, whether it's a course or whether it's a specific event you've heard about? Is there anything that's really jumped out at you as extra appealing?
Yeah, I have played the Trailblazer the last few years, which I do like that because they have one course that I assume, like when I think of Florida golf in my brain from a Minnesota standpoint, I think of the Green Gauntlet course, but I heard that one kind of got leveled by the hurricane recently. So it made the tournament change dates for the 2 or 3 months later down the road to have time to get that course kind of back in somewhat of a shape. So I'm kind of hurt by that one, but I'm also excited to try to play that at the beginning of next year. And then Champions Point is a very good one that they play at the same thing. But otherwise, just the variety of courses and playing in the sunshine with my friends. Not as stressful of golf and kind of just hanging out.
Not having to shovel tee pads. That's always nice,
Yeah, exactly. I haven't done that for half a decade now, thankfully. But
yeah, some of the transplants, I can see how people get really used to that, and the idea of whether it's, like you said, Arizona, Florida, wherever, just the fact that it's a totally different mindset come wintertime, that you're not all bundled up with 6 layers playing in an ice bowl where there's actually ice or snow, those types of things. Exactly. I don't know. You tell me, though. Don't you feel a little guilty and weird playing if you play in like an ice bowl down there and it's like 77 degrees out? Doesn't that feel a little weird?
Yeah, I don't know if I could quite call it an ice bowl. Not like I played one year in Minnesota. It was probably negative 30 or 40 wind chill during the ice bowl, but it was for charity and everyone donates everything. And so I bundled up and went out there, but I don't even think school was open that week. It was like one of the coldest weeks of my life.
Yeah, really down in Florida, they should be called like nice bowls instead of ice bowls.
There you go.
I'm sure it's been used. I'm sure I'm not original here, but that is definitely a comparative to what we have up here.
So, kind of going back to this weekend, I mentioned it already. You not only win it, but then win a $5,000 first place. This insane added cash that Brian and the crew put together for you. Where's the splurge? What did you do or are going to do that had you not won may not have been on the table? And I'm going to start with, did you get a haircut since Sunday too? Is that a start of it or no?
Yeah, I needed a haircut real bad anyway, but I think I'm about to put a bunch of my money away for Finland Worlds next year.
Love it. That's very sensible and practical and sensible. And then let me rephrase this. Was that a deal breaker? Was that do you feel like winning this was yes, now I'm for sure going, or were you for sure going anyway and this is just going to kind of help things along?
Yeah, I don't think that it's something I could really miss. I haven't missed a Worlds in so long, and it'd just be a great time to finally get my butt out to Europe and play some golf there, which I really need to. So this is just kind of going to help along the way, but I don't feel like I could have missed that. I really want to do maybe anything as the UK Festival to be on the table because I really want to play coverage of that for the first time this year. It looked like the most professional sense you could play disc golf.
Yeah, what they're doing over there in Tallinn and Estonia, certainly, especially with the, kind of in your back pocket knowing, hey, within a year or two, they're putting in a bid and they're trying to host a Worlds over there in Estonia as well. I mean, using that kind of as a precursor and as a practice or a preview of what might be a Worlds type scenario within the next couple of years as well. That it's all research. Yeah, that's what we'll another visit to another country. We'll chalk it up as research. Is there anything, knowing all of that, knowing you want to go international for sure next year, but is there anything that I would deem out of the ordinary that you're looking at in 2025 where you've said, if I looked at your schedule and be like, in July you're going where? Is there anything like that that's on your schedule?
Well, I got a couple of my really good disc golf friends' weddings, which is the first time it's actually kind of happened. But
okay,
otherwise, I was gonna say Luke Humphreys has been and Paul Oman have been trying to talk me into New Zealand tour for the last probably 2 years now since they went last year. But I really just think my off season's so valuable, and we already have such a grind that it'd be hard for me to delegate a whole month over there, kind of at this point in my life that I'm at right now.
Okay.
But in the future, definitely want to put New Zealand on the table because it just looks incredible. The golf, the people, the experience, the everything.
Yeah, New Zealand isn't exactly a moneymaker that you could maybe hang around Florida and win. It's an experience and it's a lot of fun. I'm certain, and if you're lucky, you break even probably. But it's I'm sure it's right there on your bucket list.
Might be more profitable to have your time in Florida. I could see that. And first, when you were saying that, I thought, oh, it sounds like he might be going down to Mexico too. We've seen Luke and the crew down there, and Mexico scene is growing. I know they have an A tier that's taking place in January, which may conflict with some of the other big events. But lots of options, which leads me to my next question, which is, do we really have an off season? Like, who does and who doesn't have an off season right now?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of the players that are in that, if they don't have a giant contract, they're grinding all the time. They're playing events. They're trying to get wins. They're trying to get their rating up. They're trying to get the sponsors. But I'd say if you're a player that has a 2 or 3 year contract already and they're guaranteed to make this money next year, that they may take their off season a little bit more, like they've kind of earned it, and can sit around a tiny bit more. Not that they're going to stop practicing necessarily, but they don't need to really prove themselves as much.
Yeah, and it's funny that those opportunities have to be taken, or maybe it's just business, that those like yourself, you want to go out and make the most of potential media appearances. If stuff's getting covered, obviously you want to make a few more dollars, but chalking up some good rounds and some solid play and recognition at these events is now's the time to be hammering on all of those, over the next 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks, whatever, until we're back on the tour in a more full capacity. And it's interesting to see who, like you said, maybe has the luxury or is afforded the luxury of kind of holding back a little bit, and then everyone else that wants to grind forward and push. Will there be any time where you really dedicate yourself and your body to saying, hey, I'm taking 14 straight days off of throwing discs or any kind of physical recovery like that?
Yeah, I could see that. But for me, I think that'll be too long of a time, and it's going to be a lot more like going to the gym this year. The off season last year was my first year. I did about 2 months, like 4 or 5 days a week. So I just turned that into my training instead of me playing as much. So I'm trying to kind of get that where I can be comfortable continuing to do that through the season, which I still have not had a winter where I've carried out my winter practice of working out into the season. It always just seems too hard for me to be too sore to want to compete.
Sure. And do you have any gym goals, like specific goals of any kind, either strength or conditioning or both or whatever? Is there any specific tangible goals that you have in the gym?
Yeah, just injury prevention, really.
Okay.
It's pretty much the only thing. Trying to make sure that I'm not going to get hurt on my knees and my joints and my back and things like that. Making sure just doing basic small weights and things. Not really trying to put on muscle or anything.
And we see you at right now, for those of you watching, you're at Planet Fitness. Is Planet Fitness for you one of those places, like a lot of people on tour, where it's kind of your shower, it's your recovery and workout? Is that it? Or
and massage chairs,
chairs if you're part of the
all that.
Yeah.
And I did the massage chairs before my rounds last week, because actually my friends were making fun of me a lot because I had like the worst back pain of my life on Monday, and then carried on through the beginning of the week. And then when the tournament was starting on Friday, I just still was not even close to 100%. And so it was kind of crazy to end up pulling it out still. But the first day, I really chipped around more than I've ever done on a golf course. I did like the most low effort, fan grippy, super slow with a lot of angle, and really kind of ended up paying off because I ended up using that strategy later with just my back feeling better.
Well, and funny enough, that segues right into the question of, as people have been watching and will continue to watch the coverage and have their opinions on the course and everything that they're seeing, what are your wise words of advice? You obviously came out on top. So if you were to describe the course to a fellow 10-20 rated player, what would you say to them for advice going into, let's just say there was another tournament there this weekend. What advice would you give a peer of yours?
Literally just not biting off more than you can chew goes a long way there. Trying to almost never throw the aggressive line, even though it's so easy to see that you're so far away. I want to throw the shot, and it's going to end up catching you and getting doubles and triples, which is really going to end up biting your score at the end of the day at that kind of course. You really just need to stay to single bogey and realize that score on a lot of holes is not that bad. And then as well as just being good at standstill shots, not having a good run up, maybe throwing a forehand from a scrambling spot a lot of times is going to be huge. And then knowing all your understable discs as well as your overstable discs and how to throw them low speed and not really just hammer things. Or if you are going to hammer it, you need to be confident and make sure you're at least not hitting a first available tree. You got to make your mistakes late.
Yeah, not hitting first available, because sometimes you have an 800-foot hole, and when you're hitting 75 feet off the tee, that 800-foot just became so much longer because you're probably out of position, and now you're trying to throw a recovery shot from what could be a standstill. So then I guess my follow-up to that is, can you conceive someone winning out there that isn't skilled from both sides, somebody that has that standstill forehand along with a backhand? Do you think that's even possible out there?
I think it's possible, but I really think you need to have at least somewhat of a serviceable forehand. There's no way that you're just going to be able to backhand every shot at that course and not worry about hitting your hand on a tree or having enough room to swing in general. That's just not going to happen. You don't have to necessarily throw your forehand far, but you need to be able to put it back into position for you to then do whatever you're comfortable doing.
It sounds like we're out. It sounds like
yeah, you and I don't belong there at all. That's for sure. And that's exactly what I was seeing. I was just thinking the whole time, knowing that Johnny and I both, who aren't good, but also just we have no forehands, no serviceable forehand, and thinking, you're just in those positions where there's only one practical shot, and that's a forehand, and a good forehand at that is that much more useful. And you got to bring everything to that course. It's just that's what's required out there right now. So interesting to watch the players. Was there anything that after 3 rounds, and plus you had a few practice rounds, but at the end of the weekend, was there anything that surprised you that maybe you didn't think of going into the weekend?
Really just like everybody else's score. It's not to say that I was surprised that no one was keeping up with me, but it was more that I thought somebody was going to be, like you were saying, around the close to hovering around the par, maybe getting under par. But that last day when people are already trying to make a push and nobody is in a comfortable position because everybody in the whole tournament is over par, then if you just get greedy and it was just raining on top of it all day long, it was nearly impossible to score birdie on almost any hole, let alone just not bogeying a ton of holes.
Which is funny because about halfway through the round was the first time I looked at the scores, and I had no idea where they were at. I'm like, I don't know who's where. There's a million shots that have been thrown. Everybody's had a good hole or two. Everyone's had a bad hole or two. I was like, oh, Noah's leading. Okay. It's not that I was shocked by it. I just had genuinely no idea. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, he's got a 3-stroke lead that's kind of comfortable right now. That could disappear in one hole. But holy cow, this is what's going on. And I'll add to that, all 4 players that were on the lead card Saturday, 0 of them made it to the lead card Sunday. And then on Sunday, out of the 4 players that were on the lead card, you obviously went on to win. The other 3 fell out of the top 4 spots. So the point is, the scoring was literally everywhere.
Which is why we can look at
that course.
The round ratings, which is why I believe they're so compressed, because you want to talk about someone winning an event with a 6 over, you have to think well, wow, I bet you their round ratings were outrageous then. But they were kind of in your typical 10-40 zone because, as we say, someone who's a 10-20 rated player can easily shoot 8 to 10 over or even. It's one of those events that just the scoring is so everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard when the points per stroke are only like, I think 4 points or 3 points it was.
4 or 5, yeah.
You can't really make any leeway as a hot round when people are shooting 30 strokes worse than you on a single round.
If when you look back, why don't you just tell us what your favorite hole on the course is? Now that people maybe have seen 3 rounds of it and there's so much chatter, what's your favorite hole out there?
I mean, hole 2 is a very, very fun and satisfying par 3.
Yeah.
And it does play far, but I think being so downhill that it would be still fun for, your average player, that they could still get a faster disc up to that basket.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly don't hate the big par 5, the one that's debatably a par 7, hole 7.
The par 5 that could be a par 7 that's 1,227 feet.
Yeah, that average like 7.18 during the final round.
Yeah, I think it plays closer to like 1,400 or 1,500 feet.
Yeah.
Because you need to throw 500 feet 3 times to birdie.
Yes. And
no one did that even close.
No one did that. No.
So a birdie would be like, you would have to go perfect backhand driver as like a pro power. Perfect backhand drive. Be in a spot where you can go backhand driver again. And then either roller or a craziest turnover down a cliff. Like, it's just doing that with a 1 extra stroke to get par is still so insane.
Yeah, that was the hole I heard the most, I'll say, discussion about, is that it felt like there were spots on that hole that just didn't have a good, true defined fairway that was hittable. And that it would be very
that was more the
difficult.
Hole 12 or 13 was the one that has not as much of a defined fairway.
Mm-hmm.
Hole 7 actually has a very defined fairway.
Okay.
It's just a matter of executing. Yeah, like as you're saying, 7
very fair.
Yeah, 7 has, I said it right before the show. I feel like every hole out there certainly has their fairways. It's just a matter of once you make the mistake, it's just so brutal and it's so punishing. Sure. That, somebody just posted minutes before we went live and posted on the coverage, we're just out in a forest and someone just randomly planted baskets. And I couldn't disagree more. There's definitely clearly defined fairways. It's just...
It's hard to stay in them.
It's very, you need to throw nearly perfect shots to do just that. Yeah. So, and as we all know, the old adage of, you can always take out more trees, you can't put them back. And I think he just, Brian and the crew just want to be very diligent about let's make sure that this tree needs to come out because we don't have to manufacture something else later. And that's all part of the stage of the development. So maybe this is all too obvious of a question or answer for you, but you'd like to see this on the Pro Tour when it's graduates from a Q Series. Is that fair?
Yes, very fair. I would say that it's more than ready. The venue is awesome. It's close enough to a major city, but still far enough to have your own, to be able to kind of do what you want to do. And the property is beautiful and amazing. And they can, like you said, they have the trees there. So if they want to take them down, they can. If they don't, then they don't. And I think it's going to be very challenging for the best players in the world.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I'll talk a little more after we let you go. But again, the fact that there's nearly 90 acres out there, they want to develop something like pickleball as well to be out there, pro shops, food out there, and then multiple courses spanning all of the different divisional skill levels and skill sets. What an incredible destination that's going to continue to be as they've been working on it only for a couple of years. So the fact of where it was and to what we've seen just in the last 2 years, and then the potential that it has, I think is astonishing, and I'm super excited. It's got to feel good to know this early in the stage of this property, you've found success there. Like, what does that mean to you to say, hey, like I've been here and I've conquered a very early version of this?
Yeah, I mean that is something I'm definitely not used to saying, and it's going to be exciting when it does go forward to be able to think that if anything, this course has gotten more manageable but it's still never going to be an easy place to come compete at. That's for dang sure. But I'm excited. I agree with you. I can't be more excited for the place.
Clearly, he's a future Hall of Famer and has his hands in a lot of cookie jars and does a lot of amazing things. Kale Leviska in Minnesota and the rest of the world has often been tough to get past.
Specifically on these type of courses?
Yeah. Does it at all? Is that a bonus, or have you beaten Kale enough times that this is no big deal? What does it feel like to get past him?
I mean, it's always awesome to be able to beat one of my heroes, especially on a big main stage like that. But it's kind of hilarious because I saw him at Myrtle Beach last week, and he told me that he was going to go to Jacksonville, and I was like, "What? You're not going to go to Mary Sunshine for all this money?" He's like, "What money?" I'm like, "Oh no, I said the magic words." And sure enough, the next day, the guy was signed up.
That's kind of a standing rule. You should never bring people that are better than you to a tournament. You should never do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he showed up and played it blind.
Yeah, that's classic Kale, though. He'll always do that. I don't think that affects him any bit.
Yeah. Well, it was cool to see him there again as a course designer and as a guy who's obviously seen tons of courses and is well respected in a lot of ways. I'm sure he has feedback and having that experience of being there as well, along with the other the rest of the solid field was pretty cool. Noah, is there, before we cut you loose, is there anything else you want to share? Anything I didn't prompt you for or ask you about, but is there anything you want to share with the world, whether it's to close out the season or to get ready for next year or anything in between? Anything you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's in disc golfing in the Florida area in the next few months and wants to get some disc golf lessons or practice or things like that, so let me know. As well as just give a shout out to Stash Disc again. My main guy and friend, Davis Owen, that runs the Purple Tent on the Pro Tour, sells all the used discs. He's got my bag looking so good this last few months, and I just have the most backups of everything I've ever had in my life of good throwers. So couldn't do it without him this year.
Well, there's no better time than now to make sure you're promoting the fact that you're giving the lessons, coming off of an experience and a course and a performance like this is a testament to where your skills are at. So hopefully people are thinking, hey, man, I need to go out and learn from somebody that definitely knows what he's talking about.
I need to learn how to hit some gaps, and this is the guy that's going to show me.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Noah. Well, thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. Congratulations on an incredible weekend. Super excited to watch it all unfold. Just the steadiness of playing throughout this weekend, especially in some terrible conditions on the final day. The fact that 6 over par was enough to win it tells you just how difficult the track was, and it's again a testament to your just overall perseverance truly throughout the weekend. So thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Have a good night. And we'll see you in a couple weeks at the Chain Hawk Open. Maybe I'll capture yet another victory.
Well, before you go, what are you going to go hit next? Weights, free weights, machines? What are you doing?
Massage chair.
Ooh, I'm about to go watch my laptop and go watch the Timberwolves.
All right. Even better. All right.
Perfect.
Have a great night, Noah.
All right. See you, pal. Have a good night.
All righty, boys. Thank you again.
Later. Yep. Noah Meintsma. And also easily, understandably, one of the most mispronounced last name probably out there on the tour, if you don't know him.
Yeah, if you don't know him.
But just to look at his name, it's very easy to maybe get yourself twisted around, and I feel bad for every announcer who doesn't otherwise already know his name.
I mean, if you look at it, it's looks how it sounds, Meintsma, but I can understand how the MEIN could throw some people.
Or even the NTSM all in a row kind of could throw somebody off, but
I could maybe.
Nonetheless, we've known him for quite a few years, as we said, hailing out of Minnesota, and has been a contender, and super excited to see him take things down.
I'd love to see, hopefully, it was really interesting to hear him talk about the off-season scuttle for sponsorship at his rating, because you and I both I mean, again, we're in a different time, but the 10-20 players you were going to find a manufacturer, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
That was going to be, you might not have been on the top team, but you were going to be close. You were kind of that borderline. Now, 10-20 doesn't even feel like is even borderline.
Doesn't guarantee you anything.
It doesn't guarantee you even to get on a team, which is kind of crazy if you think about it, that I think this offseason we're going to see some shaking up of that mid-tier level player. You know, your guys that are anywhere from 10-15 to 10-25. Mm-hmm. I think you might see some shuffling. You might see some people who either get promoted or demoted from teams. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I can't really even add anything to that other than how competitive the overall landscape clearly is, as we're seeing some of these companies contract a little bit, seeing them kind of shrink and or go through just the a little stifling or whatever of the the overall disc golf boom, and handing out contracts left and right with big money just will not be the commonplace. And some people are still going to be making plenty of money, but it's very different from where it was just a couple of years ago, that's for sure. But similarly, I think, Noah was cut from the cloth of 10 years ago, and are things that different, overall contract-wise 10 years ago to today?
Yeah, they're way different.
Well, in some ways they're not, but for some certain skill sets of players, they're not that much different. It's elevated slightly, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. The top is probably elevated, but the 10-20-ish player is probably getting the same as maybe what they got a half dozen years ago.
Exactly. Maybe a little bump from that. Yeah. So nonetheless, and also interesting to hear, open bag concept may or may not become more popular, or a mixed bag concept might become more popular. You just have to wonder, does someone like an Infinite, who's kind of always our flagship example, does someone like an Infinite find enough value in their mixed bag players? Because you're wondering, what moves the needle in terms of those sponsored players for Infinite specifically? Just that everyone goes and gets their discs specifically from them. Is that good enough, or is it a matter of them throwing specific Infinite molds, and things of that nature? I guess it sounds like a no-brainer that we have to have someone from Infinite next, is really the question. Well, like what they're looking for and what they are trying to accomplish with sponsoring players. That's what I'm saying.
He's not the guy we want to talk to, but we do have a contact there in Tyler Brickley. I don't want to say his name too loud because he might show up.
What does he know?
He might show up, so we can't say his name too loud. He's kind of like Beetlejuice, but we do have a contact there. If we wanted to talk with somebody
but I don't think they let him know anything of
No, that's what I'm saying. He might be able to get someone better than him, smarter than him, more attractive than him. Gets paid more than him.
Yeah. Plays better golf.
Plays better golf than him. Is richer than him.
Stock shelves better than him.
Has better hair than him. Taller. More athletic.
One way or another, we'll get to the bottom of it. But I'd just be curious. And again, we always point to Infinite as kind of the largest example of a company that's offering up that open bag or mixed bag policy. I'll be curious to see how if they're looking more and more appealing and attractive to to potential players for that reason or not. So, Doc says, I thought Tyler was in Australia. One of his personas is probably in Australia. Fair enough.
Yeah, he's got a few different personalities.
All right, I'm sorry. Did we cap off the top 8 or 10 or 6 at least or so from?
We can. The weekend? We can. Let me
let's wrap that one up.
All right, we'll tie that up with a little bow. Paul Kranz takes second place to our guest tonight, Noah Meintsma, shooting ultimately what ended up as an 8 over par, losing to Noah by 2 strokes. Third place was a tie between Braden Sides and Evan Smith. A 3-way tie for 5th place between Kale, Evan Scott, and Micah Groth. Micah was in second place, or actually, I think tied for first, going into the final round, and just had a no surprise, like no shade, a rough final round, shooting I think 8 over par, but that could just be literally 2 or 3 bad holes. 8th place, Zach Arlinghouse, Garrett Gerthy, Nicholas Gill, and Ben Wolf. So those are your top 10 in MPO. And I think we already discussed FPO. Yeah, we went down and talked about that.
So congrats.
And those are all people that got paid over $1,000.
Yeah.
And an A tier off-season amazing payout. Huge props to Brian for running the way he ran this event and the funding that he got.
And on top of it, maybe even just like as we kind of talk about as a side note to the insane payouts at a place like Ledgestone, Brian was still able to also then generate $25,000 that went to benefit the nonprofit of Mary Sunshine House.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the players and having this track and this property in this place. It's also adding on top of it that there's this incredible charitable contribution. They had a huge contribution last year. I think it was $20,000. I'm going to say last year as well to the Mary Sunshine House, and now another $25,000 going to them. I mean, again, if we're going old school, for decades we didn't have entire purses for an entire weekend hit $25,000, and now we're seeing a $25,000 donation going just to a nonprofit in the neighborhood of where the tournament is, plus the $40,000 added to the purse. So what they're doing, what they're building is monumental, and it's going to continue to be a place that people want to get to and be part of. And I wish them the best of luck. I'm honored that I was there last year and saw one of the configurations again this year to see what it's like, and I'm only excited to see how they take all of the feedback and massage it into exactly what they want the course to continue to look like. It's not a matter of willpower or ego or anything of that nature. It's just literally a matter of time to get all of these things done, and that's what I love about it.
And what it sounds like from this facility is that, Play Pretend 2 years from now, 3 years from now, Pro Tour, you could have some really great and different configurations for every round. One of the things we always hear about is, I'd love to see pins moved or this or that. You could play some of the same holes and have a completely different track. You could play 3 holes from this course, somehow weave it into a temp or 2, play 4 holes from another course. Like this is really a great facility in order to be able to have something like that, and I'm really looking forward to see how it goes. But let's move on. We're going to talk about the 7th annual Over the Top Red Rock Classic : B Memorial. Yeah, so that's as much as I'm getting out of it. That's out of Hurricane, Utah. In MPO, Connor Rock takes this one by 2 strokes over Levi Hancock. 3rd place, Cooper Johnson. 4th place, Ryan Bain. And 5th place, Cade Filamahala. Did not screw up your name, Cade.
Filamahala if you hear me.
Filamahala if you hear me. In FPO, Alyssa Wilson wins this over Chelsea Howells. So congratulations. Those are your top open players competing. We're going to move over to down to Mississippi, Lumberton, Mississippi, the 2024 Discraft Big Rip Classic presented by Ledgestone. Winning this is Silas Williams by 4 strokes. Sorry, my little eyes are blurry. Over Silas Schultz. So
when's the last time you
2
saw
Silases, and they're spelt differently?
Yeah, let's get Statmando on this and find out when's the last time. I'm gonna
never.
You think it's never?
I think it's never
that we've seen
a top 2 players both named Silas. Never.
I would bet on agreeing with you on that.
Okay.
Just a pair of Silases, and the fact that they both had to overcome a Matt Oram
and a Cam Coldglazer.
Yeah, that's crazy in itself that they had to get past Matty O. But Silas.
Matty O, dominant down south, usually the Mississippi, Alabama area. If you can get past him, you're doing pretty well. But yes, Silas Williams beats Silas Schultz, who beats Matty Oram, who beats Cameron Coldglazer. In 5th place, you had Chad Sherbert.
Quick side note to that, Silas Schultz did open with a hot round. He had a sizable lead that got chipped away, and then he was overtaken as the weekend went on. Silas Schultz, that is. But I know he opened up with a hot round. I think he was, 6 clear?
He was 6 clear of the other Silas.
Of the entire field. So very impressive for him. And then also, sure, we're used to seeing or hearing Cameron Colglazer as a top contender name. He made a post that I didn't quite realize. He made a post yesterday saying this is his first event in 2.5 years.
Really?
Yeah, because he's been family and car detailing, which is his business. He's been doing a lot of other things, and he has only kind of picked disc golf back up in the last few months in a serious capacity. Looks like he's played a couple of times, but certainly not
it looks
nearly as much as he has been over the last few, as
he played the
prior to that.
City of Mobile earlier this year in March and took 64th.
It looks like he DNF'd actually, or didn't even finish.
Oh yeah, 0 points. So he probably DNF'd. Yeah. He played a Halloween Howler, which
just
is
a couple of weeks ago,
a C tier, as well as the 21st annual Fairhope Jubilee powered by Prodigy back in January. So he's
not playing nearly.
And for those of you that don't know Cam, phenomenal putter, like just out of this world putter. Maybe one of the, you could argue maybe one of the top 10 of all time for putting, and that's not even an exaggeration. He had that putting stroke. So.
Anyway, I just thought it was great to see. We'll see if he's going to come back and continue to push to play that much more. But I know family, work, and everything else have been his higher concern.
All right, we'll talk about one more A tier. This was over in Rockland, California. The Cool Down 4 Pro, presented by OTB Discs. First place, Jacob Blair wins this at shooting 39 under par. His round ratings were 1027, 1051, and 1027. Beating Andrew Miranda, Jake Brown, Damian Trunke, and in fifth place, Isaiah Oliver. Moving down to FPO. Getting an FPO win. I don't know if she has one this year other than this. Juliana Korver.
I bet she does over in New Zealand.
I didn't. Has she?
And maybe even somewhere else. Yeah, she has 4 wins this year. I remember reading
in Open.
Yeah,
okay, yeah, you're right. She has a few. I didn't think about the New Zealand ones, but she did actually rack up a Dairy Queen, the Brent Hambrick as well. So
yes.
So congratulations to JK. I can't believe I ever doubted her.
Why would you, silly goose?
Silly me. Anyway, besting Jen Allen by 4 strokes. JK took home $485. Jen Allen took home $285. So congratulations. JK shooting a 936, a 961, and a 969. She's rated 943 currently, so shooting above her rating. Well done to one of our favorites of all time, Juliana Korver.
JK taking it down. So,
I have one more actually. Oh, I had one in the chamber and I didn't even realize it.
Sheesh.
And I'm not even gonna Kratom. KR8OM, Kratom presents the 34th VPO, powered by Mint Discs. This is down in Texas. VPO is a classic event. It's been going on for 34 years.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah. This is one of those events that we always heard about growing up because Barry Schultz went down there and won a few years, I believe.
And would battle the likes of Ken Climo and Scott Stokely and those guys as they were closing out kind of the last big hurrah A tier of every year.
Yeah, this was one of those events that national tour even, that it was just out there for us to talk about. One of the big events. So Freddie Meza wins this by a stroke over GT Hancock. So Freddie shooting some pretty good golf, 1028, 1021, finishing it off with 1053. So as we say, above his rating. Third place, a tie between Greg Barsby, Jaden Rye, and Zach Nash. Wandering down to the FPO, that was a field of 6 in FPO. Winning $360 was Emily Beach, beating Madeline Payton, and I'm going to go with Maya Lofton. It could be Mia, but I'm going to go with Maya.
I'm guessing Maya. Well, I would add on to that, especially because he super chatted, but I'll add on. The Veterans Park Open this past weekend, coverage is on the Disc Locker. It had an exciting finish and surprisingly good weather for the VPO. 4 players shot the same hot rounds to finish the weekend. They also then jumped in with all that info. Yeah, they jumped in with all that info in the chat and provided a super chat. So the Disc Locker, we appreciate it, and everyone should go check out the coverage over there on your page.
As we say, go out, subscribe to them, right after you subscribe to Terry's page.
Yeah, that
and this
too.
page.
Yeah.
Subscribe to all the disc golf, the off-season people grinding and putting out that footage, so we kind of could get that little disc golf fix now that the Pro Tour is over.
Yeah, and I'll add on to that. Some people were asking, Cat Merch, Sarah Holcomb, and the crew over at the Sunshine House Classic this weekend. That is going to be put up on Vern's channel, which is Great Courses of South Carolina is the name for his channel. Vern helped out in a number of ways in terms of helping coincide with the drone footage. So I appreciate that, along with the Augusta drone pilots. And a lot of people are saying, hey, where's the FPO coverage? As I said, I wasn't about to walk that course twice a day. But Vern was out there, and Vern will have it up on his channel. He's hoping around Thanksgiving. So I wanted to get that plug in there as well. We appreciate him and everything he was doing out there this weekend, along with my guy, Tyler, who joined me for catch cam action. He's never done catch cam before. He's done tons of throw cam, has never done catch cam. And I'm like, yeah, why don't you just go out on the toughest course in the world with a bunch of blind shots and do catch cam? And he did great. So I really do appreciate it. All right, the other thing before we get to the NADGT, which was briefly mentioned earlier, we have to talk about the World Flying Disc Federation and, of course, seeing that the team event taking place over in Australia. And when it was all said and done, I'm not going to claim to know all the details about all of the different formats.
I was going to talk about this event, but the PDGA didn't really have results up, so I kind of...
Yeah, when it was all said and done,
sidestepped
Estonia is your WIF Diff World Team Disc Golf Championship winners for the second time. They went up against Australia in the championship matchup and came out on top. So congratulations to Team Estonia for taking it down for their second time. You saw some posts on social media. We saw a heartbreaking putt that was going to maybe turn into a different outcome for Canada, and a putt that actually came out, didn't secure the win. So
it was a little high. I'm sorry, Canada. It was a little high.
It was a little bit high, but when it was all said and done, Estonia takes it down. And here's what we know more than anything. This event is gaining momentum.
It is.
And it's because we're seeing some superstars from a number of other countries that are participating in it, and they're taking it serious. And we already know people like Estonia take disc golf very seriously. Well, the fact that some of your top players, like your Kaidi Asalus and your Katie Tates and your Albert Toms, just to name a few, like those are household names that are on the tour or play in tour events, and then they're also going to this event. People like that, and then Thomas Gilbert from Canada and Leah Sinigini from the U.S., so on and so forth. These top players from these countries that you would normally see on the big stage of the Pro Tour and whatever, are then taking this event seriously, which just tells me it's going to continue to grow and thrive and expand and be something that's really exciting to be part of. So congratulations to everybody that went. Thank you. I'll say it again to Team Australia for hosting it and having everyone come there and have those experiences. I'm really sad that I wasn't able to be any part of it this year, but I think as this event continues to move forward, I'd be an idiot not to be involved in some capacity, hopefully moving forward. So thanks to everyone involved, and looking forward to hearing more about it.
You're an idiot for a lot of reasons, but let's not make it about this.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to talk real quick about the NADGT National Championships. The only divisions I really want to speak about are MA1 and FA1. Those are kind of the two that really, they're a precursor possibly to the players you're going to see on the Pro Tour, at least have been in the past. Winning MA1 this year was Jaden Torres, shooting, his final round was 1,007. He also shot 1,017, 1,015, and 1,009. But Jaden Torres wins this one by in what looked to be a playoff. I only guessed that because there was a tie at the end between him and Parker Austin, but Jaden gets the number 1 next to his name. Parker gets the number 2. In third place, Kyle Lumsden. Fourth place, Mitchell Gullick. Fifth place, Houston Finch. So remember, keep an eye out for those names. Those are the ones probably I would say you might see them maybe dip into the tour next year a little bit. if not the Q Series. But probably I would say count on it within the next 2 to 3 years. You're gonna be talking about these players. In FA1, one of my favorite names, the winner, Janelle freaking Cole.
Janelle freaking Cole.
Janelle freaking Cole. She shoots a 6 under par, a 922 rated round. She beat the field by 3 strokes. Clara Watson in second place, shooting 3 under par that round. That for that event, 1 over for the round. Elizabeth Sipar, Cipar. It could be a hard C or a soft C. I'm going to go with soft because it's in front of an I. I before E, except after C. Something like that. I don't know. Elizabeth Sipar. And in fourth place, Isabella Parker. So,
and it looks like Janelle freaking Cole managed to take it down.
Not freaking.
Oh, freaking Cole. Excuse me. I don't want to freaking get the freaking wrong.
Don't.
Things could get all out of whack. Yep. Looks like it was a comeback in the final round. She ended up winning by 3 and shot 4 strokes better than Clara Watson. So it was all done in that final round to claim the title. So congrats to her. Congrats to everyone involved. You mentioned it earlier. We saw the likes of Gannon Burr and Alden Harris, and I think Gavin Babcock, and a number of other players down there hanging out as part of the overall experience, which is exactly what it should be down there. I don't believe it was live this year at all.
No,
on the Disc Golf Network.
They talked about it earlier in the season, but I think it just didn't work out timing wise. And there were other logistics, I believe, as to why it wasn't live. But
that's too bad. But nonetheless, congrats to everyone involved. Another successful season in the books from an NADGT perspective, which is awesome to see.
Real quick PDGA news before we get into some other PDGA information. There's something on the PDGA news talking about $7,462 was donated to Throw Pink from the PDGA. I believe they had said something about $2 per player at Throw Pink. So anyway, you can read the article for all the details, but the PDGA supporting the breast cancer awareness event and breast cancer awareness month in general. There's a whole recap as to if it was, I think it was it $2 a player for each player at certain events.
This October, the PDGA brought back the fight against cancer by promising to donate $2 to Throw Pink for each competitor playing in a gender-based division at a C-tier and above tournament worldwide.
Division. Okay.
This included each time a competitor played in October. There were 3,731 instances of this happening, which means $7,462 donation to Throw Pink. So, yes, I will link to that right away as well in the chat so you guys could read more on the article. But awesome news all around. Thank you to Sarah and Throw Pink, and then thank you to the PDGA for the collaboration and making that connection and making it all happen. So, and pretty cool.
The PDGA doing something awesome right after they kind of fell flat on their face.
So there was a miscalculation today,
there was
a miscue today.
Yes, the ratings
chatter.
The ratings were released this morning, as they always are.
Okay,
and unfortunately, there was a slight problem with them because included in the ratings was Throw Pink, as well as USDGC.
Okay.
So what we saw what appeared to be Kristen Tatar getting to 1,001. But really, an hour or two later, it was kind of bumped back down to 1,000, which is unfortunate because
the horror.
What stinks is that it would have been another quote unquote record for her.
Yes,
there was a post out there she made. Like there was a bunch of people congratulating her, and then they kind of have to walk it back. Again, I understand. Yes, you can blame the PDGA. It's fine. They fell on their face on this one. They take the L. It sucks. It's understandable.
Is it life-changing?
No, of course not. Gannon Burr got up to, I think, 1,059, and then got scaled back to 1,058.
Okay.
So it's both of these players get to their record highs and then have to kind of scoot it back a little bit. It happens. Mistakes happen. It's funny because it doesn't really matter to anybody. It just shows everybody was quick to jump on, especially the Kristen Tatar one.
Of course.
And rightfully so if she gets to 1,001 because nobody really saw it coming because she had kind of had some off and on rounds, but no one was really thinking anymore like, oh, is she going to get to 1,000? But she does. She gets back to 1,000 after dipping down to like 998 or something. So having a really solid end of the season. Congratulations to Kristen Tatar for getting back to 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, it's not 1,001, but it is 1,000. So
I of course
they're going to have to wipe a few stamps.
I totally agree that it's an unfortunate mistake. Like we said, it is not life-changing. It did provide an extra conversation piece and a little bit of frustration.
Until Kristen looks at her contracts like, if you get over 1,000,
there's a 10,000 euro bonus.
That's right. But sorry.
Nonetheless, and to be fair, even 10,000 euros to her is not life-changing at this point, which is a compliment to her with her other successes. But of course, it sucks. I'm not dismissing it as being 100% insignificant, but what maybe
it is insignificant.
Maybe it also points to the absurdity that our freaking major, the USDGC, doesn't get round ratings. Maybe it points to the absurdity that this incredible throw pink event also doesn't get round ratings. If you want to spin this in any direction, you could say that is absurd.
They shouldn't be sanctioned.
Whatever the case is.
Why is our major the only event that can break all the rules in the PDGA handbook, but none of the others can?
Sorry. Again, we could look at this in a number of rose colored lenses and look at it however you want, but yes, it's a mistake that they initially got counted and they shouldn't have, but the bigger question is, why aren't they counted I know why they're not, but it seems
stroke
silly.
And distance. That's it. That's the answer.
Silly. So that's another fight for another day. It's not a hill I'm going to go die on.
I'm going to harp on it every year, but that's fine. I try to keep it to like once-ish a year around USDGC as to when I harp on
and
that.
And whoever wants to fight about it can. It doesn't have to. I'm not pointing a finger at anyone specifically. Whoever wants to fight about it can, but that's a different fight to be had, I guess is my point.
Oh, Tim says she got a second Porsche for 1,001.
Yes.
They had to repo it.
Yes.
She walked out to her car and suddenly it was up on blocks. Somebody was towing it away.
Yeah, and then she just turned to silver because he was excited about having one of his, and she just goes,
Sorry, Silver.
Sorry, Silver. As the Porsche gets towed away. Yeah. I don't think I'm exactly going out on any limbs here by saying she'll probably get past 1,000, whether it's 1,001, 2, or 1,005 at some point. That certainly is all in play still. So we have something else to continue to look forward to. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, she's dropping a bunch. She's dropping some bad rounds. We'll see what happens next year when she comes on. Rydell1 asks, do you think any other women will get to 1,000 rating next year?
Next year?
I'm going to say no for next year, just because I'm looking at the women who are closest. You're probably looking at your
Missy's,
Evelina,
Owns.
Missy, Own. Those are I think you're probably next highest rated. Maybe Cat Merch is up there in like 6th or 7th, but I just don't think they have quite the ceiling and the consistency in order to be able to hit that. I think maybe if you say 2 or 3 years, we might see 1 or 2 people jump up there. I could see someone like a Silva, if she can kind of get her game together, obviously, or Emily Weatherman start to really kind of make that push. I don't know. I mean, not to say that Missy or Own couldn't do it with
certainly. I mean, Owen's rated 990. If she averages roughly,
she needs like
1 stroke better per hole. That's
per hole?
rough.
Wow. If she averaged 1 pro stroke better per hole, she's playing in a different division.
1 stroke better per round, roughly. That's roughly 10 points.
She has to do that for an entire, basically for 3 full months almost.
I'm just saying, I mean, it's not absurd to think she could get there when she's sitting at 990. I would certainly not. She's 989. She went up from 988 to 989 right now.
I just look at her and Missy, their age.
Sure,
they're not that they can't get any better. We've, JK is still playing very well. Kristen Tatar is 32. 33, I'm going to guess. Don't say a yes or no. So that's just a wild guess. But and she's playing the top of our sport right now. So it could happen. I don't think it's going to happen next year, personally. I think if we're going to see it, it's going to maybe be in 2026, maybe 2027. But I think we will see another woman get there in the next few years.
I totally agree that that it will. It'll probably happen. As I said, Onskagen's currently 989.
Where did she play this weekend? She's almost like Brian Schweberger, where
you just expect that she's playing somewhere?
I suspect she's playing some event in California somewhere.
Honestly, I don't think she...
Unless maybe
she may not have actually played this weekend. Not anything PDGA sanctioned.
So
am I seeing that she's
probably out on
played.
the course just hustling people for putts.
Yeah, probably. So, and it just
left-handed.
As a side note, Own is at 100 wins on her PDGA calendar right now. Kristen, you want to guess how many she's at?
Kristen, probably like 84.
99.
Oh.
98, excuse me, 98. I thought it was 99. She's at 98.
Okay.
So just kind of a funny side note to some career milestones for the two of them. All right. Yeah, that was a lot. I mean, believe it or not, it still feels like, especially with the WIFDIF thing going on, they were so good. So many people internationally, at least in my field, my feed, I saw so many different posts going on, and for the record, I absolutely loved it. I loved one of my favorite posts from the weekend was seeing one of our Thai FPO players making a post with one of our Estonian FPO players, pictures, maybe exchanging jerseys, and just having that experience of knowing how, for instance, how small Thailand disc golf is, and then being there and being represented and having Thai players in Australia playing against then some of the best in the world from Estonia and beyond. It was really, really heartwarming to see. It just gives you such an Olympic vibe there for a moment to see these competitors from so many different countries. So to everyone involved, hats off, congratulations. Everything there looked very successful. I believe also over the next few weeks, we're going to continue to see more play come out of Australia.
New Zealand,
Australia specifically really put together like an entire month of event planning to have that take place for like 4 or 5 straight weeks. So if somebody wanted to go there and make the most of a trip to Australia, I was blessed to be there for nearly 3 weeks a few years ago. That's the best way to obviously take it all in, is all these different tournaments spanning all these different weekends. And that was 100% intentional on their part. And then as we know, come January, February timeframe, you're looking at New Zealand having their entire thing, Southeast Asia looking to have essentially a small tour put together this year, and then even more developed come next year. So lots of options. And then Mexico and South America all popping off, Latin America all popping off as well. There's just no sleep in disc golf anymore. A few people taking off because they can. But a lot of other people are taking it in.
The sun never sets on disc golf. It's worldwide.
Yeah, it's a good way to say it. All right. Somebody says, I think next year we'll see even more Emily Weatherman and Ellie Midlings pop into conversations rather than top of the field push for that 1,000 rating with KT. I mean, clearly, a lot of them, everyone else that's anywhere in that conversation, it all just becomes that consistency of high-level golf and not having a whole weekend. I mean, Kristen sometimes has had one bad round in a weekend or in...
But even her bad rounds are like she's in 3rd or 4th place.
Exactly. So it's I think the sky is the limit for so many of those competitors, but it's like everything else. It's all about that consistency.
Emily Weatherman needs to work on her distance and a little bit of putting. Eliezer needs to work on her consistency and putting because she has the distance, no doubts. But you see it once in a while. She sprays a little bit, and her accuracy could use a little bit of help. But both of those are young women who are probably going to be dominant in the sport for the next 7, 8, 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming they want to be.
Okay. I think that's it from an official news perspective. One thing I'll probably touch on in the after show to bring it up again, but also to even touch on it right now. The Paul Macbeth Foundation, I mentioned it earlier. we saw the baskets go into Uruguay, officially getting mounted, which is awesome. They're also doing their auction right now, and I'm going to read off a few of the things that they have up for auction. I'm going to put it right here in the comment section for you guys, and you're going to see me promoting this because I think it's just a lot of really cool things. I don't get any kind of commission on this, but practice round, you can win a practice round with the Robinson brothers. That currently has a high bid of $410. A NYC Brixton card and disc set, so the New York City card and disc set is out there. Practice round, again, with Gannon Burr and Sullivan Tipton, as they're calling it a experience. Ken Climo, play 9 holes of disc golf with 12-time world champ Ken Climo and receive a DGPT Elite Series VIP pass.
That ain't bad.
Like, that's pretty damn cool. I'm just going to say it. Like, the idea of going out and playing 9 holes with Ken Climo, I don't care where it is. That current bid is at $200. It should go for 5 times that, at least. The knowledge alone of asking Ken Climo a few questions and having his full attention for 9 holes at literally any course is way worth the $1,000+ that should go for. I'm just throwing a number out there. Nate Sexton double stamp Firebirds, or Firebird, excuse me, singular. Zach Melton and Chris Dickerson. Oh, they're going to maybe get married. Melton and Dickerson experience, a round with them, a Paul Ulibarri coaching session and practice round, and a meal. No, wait, a meal.
A meal with
Ulibarri.
Where if you had to have a meal with Ulibarri, where would you have one?
I don't know, but I would only do it if I was also allowed to hand feed him. If I could put food in his mouth.
Is he paying for the meal?
I'm assuming when winning this experience,
because if it's in Charlotte, I'm looking up some like top chefs. Like I'm going to get my money's worth out of Paul Ulibarri.
Session, Paul, improve your game, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
following the lesson, you'll play a full round alongside Paul, capped off with a meal together for a chance to connect and chat.
But it doesn't say where.
The event will take place in Charlotte, North Carolina.
You better
before
pay.
The 2026 season begins. So you basically have a whole year to cash in on it. A portion of the proceeds from that will also support the Ulibarri Foundation, Ulibarri Leadership Foundation. Please note, lodging and travel is not included. Thanks for participating.
Says nothing about the meal. I will make him pay that meal, and I will find a restaurant.
That's getting paid for. And like I said, only if I can put food in his face. I want to be able to hand feed him.
Most expensive.
It's currently at $1,500 for that experience. You got Paul Macbeth game used putters, some Discraft challengers out there, Jomez practice round with Yuli and Big Germ, and then a handful of grip bags, Scott Stokely experience, a Magnus Carlsen chess and disc set.
That's really cool.
So that's kind of cool, especially for some of you hardcore chess heads.
Yep. Yuli's taking me to Steak 48.
What's a chess head? Chesser. Macbeth game used jersey, Scott Stokely stuff, Simon Lizotte game used pixels, staggered stance experience at Maple Hill is pretty cool. Some World's Caddy bibs, AB. Oh, see, this one's not so special. An AB worn game jersey. I've got a dozen of those at my house. I'm not telling you how I got them, but I've got those.
That's creepy, but okay.
More
probably not just jerseys. Terry stole a
Ledgestone
duffel
VIP
bag.
packs, Macbeth Buzzsaw, St. Jude charity disc. Those are all found. I already linked it. Those are all auction scenarios. Go out, get your bids in. It's got all the information on the site. Seriously, some really cool stuff. I love that. Of course, there's discs. There's just hardware. You could get this Magnus Carlsen set, but I also love all the experiences that are being offered up as well, and I think that's really cool to see. So, best of luck, and obviously raising money for a good cause, and in a couple of cases, multiple causes. When you're looking at the Ulibarri Leadership Foundation along with the Paul Macbeth Foundation, so it's out there, and you have 4 days. As of right now, you have 4 days, 22 hours, and 29 minutes to get your bids in. It's all out there. PaulMacbethFoundation.org is the place to go. You'll see it. All right.
We can wrap this up now, Terry.
Yeah,
We'll get
let's
some
wrap
after
that up.
show.
That's a lot of good, lots of good random stuff for you guys tonight, I feel like. So Philip DeFranco, the YouTuber that you don't know.
I know the name.
Yeah, I think he says that's my show, and you've been filled in, which is a little play on his name. I feel like we filled you in on a lot of random but yet useful things here tonight. So I'm glad.
Noah, what's going on?
Hey, oh, yes,
Bam! I nailed that one.
You did. That was next level dad joking, as they say. Thank you to Noah Meintsma, of course, for joining us. Thank you to both Brian and Ryan from this weekend over there at the event. Incredible experience. Big shout out to James from the Mary Sunshine House. It was great to talk to him and to see all of what's going on to make not only that property special, but then the benefiting of the Mary Sunshine House. There's an interview in both the front and the back nine where I talk to them, and you get more details on their nonprofit serving people on the autism spectrum for independent living. There's more details that are out there, but that's the long and short of it. And I love seeing it, and I love the community involvement and connection that disc golf is making in terms of benefiting them. So the feels are all there in so many good ways, and I'm super proud to be part of it. For Johnny V, I'm the disc golf guy. We're going to stand down here for just a moment or two, but when we come back, we're going to have a giveaway. We'll have the after show fodder. We'll talk about other things going on that may or may not be disc golf related as we're closing out the 2024 year. All that and more in the after show. This has been podcast 532.
Yep.
We'll see you in the after show when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV Podcast 532's After Show. It's the after show. What's the after show? I'll tell you. It's our opportunity to fully connect and engage with you on whatever level regarding comments that you put usually into the YouTube section. You could also do it via Facebook, but it's easiest if you do it on the YouTubes.
Or Twitch.
Or Twitch.
If you're that one viewer who likes to view on Twitch.
And with that, not only will we try to discuss the topic or answer a question or elaborate on whatever it is, but we're also aching and prone to go off the DG rails. Let's put it that way. We are not completely constricted to just talking disc golf here. Some of you are in for it, and some of you say, I don't care. I hardly care about your disc golf takes, let alone your non-disc golf takes, and you politely exit or turn off now. That's fine too.
Shout out to Jabumbo, who is on our Twitch stream right now. Shout out. He's like, did someone mention my name? I did.
We did.
Thank you. Thank you for being our Twitch viewer. I think you're viewing this about a third of a second faster than everybody else. Twitch always seems to be just a little bit more up to date. So.
Okay. Speaking of other things that are up to date, quick shout out. The Nate Doss interview that had recently hit DGN from when DGN and the crew rolled through the Bend area and into Oregon earlier this year. Brian Earhart did an interview with Nate Doss that was on DGN exclusively for about a week or two. And now I'm just seeing on the Facebooks or other places that it's also been released for the general public out there on the YouTubes. So I'm going to go consume it because I haven't had a chance yet. I'll go consume it myself, but pretty cool to see. They're over at Bevel, which is a place that I'm awarded the luxury of visiting while out there working 10 or 11 weekends throughout the year. So pretty cool. I have plenty of one-on-one time with Nate, so it's awesome. I'll be interested to see and hear what Brian prompted him and conversations they had. So that's out there and available. So go make sure you check that out.
Terry, what's
Johnny?
the worst disc golf injury you've ever had? If any.
I have been so blessed to have so few disc golf injuries, or injuries that even then impacted my disc golf that weren't mental.
I've seen some funky stuff you've gotten on feet and like
Where was that in Houston?
I don't know if it was Houston or maybe it was Michigan where you stepped in some like
Michigan or Minnesota?
I don't think it was Minnesota. It might have been
Michigan.
Like you stepped in some pond or something, you took off your sock and shoe,
that's right,
and it was like
yeah.
all nasty, and then your foot got like really gross.
Yeah, really gross for a while.
Yeah, like so is
or
some poison ivy. I know.
Poison ivy. I had I'm going to say my first ever bout with poison ivy just a few months ago when I was out filming Am Worlds in Michigan. And then it just progressively got worse until I showed up at Pro Worlds, and then I went to the emergency room. But in terms of legitimate disc golf injury, and it's not an injury that I would say is in fact a thing today, specifically that I worry about, or that I'm suffering from, I should say, but I still worry about it, which is if I go to throw, we'll say a jump putt, and I throw it really hard, and I'm trying to put everything on it, I feel like sometimes I overextend my elbow, or whatever, and then my elbow has a pain in it, and it only gets worse with every subsequent throw,
like a tennis elbow almost.
Yeah, and I don't know if would be the official term. I guess by description, it seems like that would be it. Like right now, my elbow feels great, and I could maybe go throw 5. I played all weekend long in Guatemala. Not once did I have an issue, but there's always the slightest hesitation if I throw it a little too hard on any given time. I feel like that returns, and then it hurts me for the rest of the weekend.
I have.
So is that tennis elbow?
I don't know, but I have
like it?
Maybe I have something very similar where if I overextend, usually it's on a hard drive, my elbow that it's funny because it doesn't really hurt the rest of the round. It is like I will start to feel it after the round, and then it will linger for like the next 2 or 3 rounds.
No, mine hurts immediately, and then every single throw for the rest of the day or weekend is insanely tentative because I'm worried about it hurting more the next time I do it.
But you've never almost lost a leg.
I don't think I've ever almost lost a leg.
Well, this weekend, or maybe it was not this. I'm sorry, it was not this weekend, but it was posted on Reddit, and I've seen it in a few other places. The gentleman who was retrieving his disc from, I think he probably threw to OB, went into a road, tripped and fell, and scratched up his leg. And unfortunately, that scratch, an Oklahoma man, 31, loses limb after cut from Frisbee golf gets infected.
Yeah.
So he apparently the story is he was crossing the road and he tripped. It really didn't have anything to do with disc golf, but he tripped and fell, got a really bad scrape on his leg. His mom is some sort of like infectious diseases person. She looked at it and said, it looks okay. 2 weeks later, he's like waking up in a sweat and puking. And at some point then, unfortunately, the infection has now spread. He's thankful he didn't die, but he lost his leg while playing disc golf. Not necessarily because of disc golf, but while playing. So never almost lost a leg that you know of.
No, definitely that stuff on my foot a few years ago was nasty.
So gross. So gross.
Yeah, was I in Grand Rapids for Masters Worlds covering it? And that doesn't make sense, but I feel like that might have been when it happened.
I don't know, but it was gross.
It was.
I'm sure you have pictures somewhere.
Yeah, that's a good point. I should get those posted.
People
are dying
just
to
type
see
in your Google Photos.
My foot.
Gross feet.
Nasty foot. That wouldn't do so well on my Only Feet.
No, probably not.
Account.
More than likely not. So yeah. So unfortunately, this gentleman almost lost, or he did lose his leg, and he did it while disc golfing.
Yeah, I mean, which just proves the kind of overall craziness of how sometimes life goes. That a mild scrape on a road of all places. It's not like he was in the Amazon rainforest and then brushed up against something that punctured his leg. Yeah, or
he's in Australia where everything's trying to kill you and poison you.
Or we know indirectly knew a disc golfer that was bit by a spider while somewhere in Central America that ended up passing away. Something like that. But just being out on the road on pavement and then something interacting and ultimately that being the result, that's really tough to hear and unfortunate. But no, knock on wood, surprisingly, 30-some years into this game, I've never had a real disc golf injury. And
we've seen some.
Yeah.
We've seen some. Although he didn't get injured, I hit a guy in the face. No, I'm sorry, in the chest. I hit a guy in the chest in Minnesota. A friend of ours was hit square in the melon.
Yeah.
In Kalamazoo.
Yeah, in Michigan. Mm-hmm.
And
we've all seen a billion times what happened to Kevin Jones, and somehow he gets up.
He gets up
and has no
without
problem,
injury,
so to speak. That to me is probably one of the craziest non-injuries that we've ever seen.
I kind of accidentally threw a friend of ours off the back of my car once. Yeah. He was. We were in Madison. He literally hopped on the back, like the spoiler of my vehicle, and I thought it'd be funny. God, we were in our 20s. To kind of give a little shake, ha. And unfortunately, he was a little close to the edge, and the shake was a little bit much, and it flipped him off the back of the car. And he was in the lead after one round. Scraped up his hands. Didn't necessarily finish that great afterwards. I felt very bad about it. Apologized, obviously. Never want to hurt your friend, but it was all in joking. And so that's we've seen some things, but
yeah. Now's the most appropriate time to tell the one story of I would say the most brutal thing that we've experienced out there, which was a team tournament taking place in northern Wisconsin.
Yeah,
and a gentleman.
He was a kid practically.
He was a kid. He was in his teens. Maybe he was 17, 18, 19, somewhere in that neighborhood. Weighed about 117 pounds. Has a small structure and frame. His name was Jack.
Jack Smith out of Minnesota.
Went for a putt on hole 3 during a match play. Went for a particular putt on a hole.
Like a jump putt?
Jumped up, and then when he came down, I was just looking for an example. Give me that.
Here's a pen.
When he came down, a stick that was, or a limb coming out of a down log, as this is a very wooded course, that was sticking out of a log. When he came down, the stick went into his armpit and then came back out his shoulder, essentially, or in that territory. So it went all the way through his shoulder and then came out the other side. Needless to say, he ended up going to the emergency room, of course. He did not complete his match. He didn't pass go. He recovered, was fine, all of that other stuff, but just truly impaling himself in that way. Missing, obviously, some very vital parts in there, and thankfully had no other significant injury other than the result of that. But I mean, a few millimeters one way or another, and it could have easily been
much worse.
Yeah, life-threatening had he punctured the wrong thing. So literally going into just take your finger right now,
poke yourself in the armpit,
put it into your armpit. Imagine a stick going in there, and then look over your shoulder
and being able to see
a
that
stick
finger
then coming back out.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with no on that.
Yeah,
I prefer not.
So.
On brighter news, let's move past that. A small story this weekend. Corey Ellis shot 19 under par.
Now, was that this weekend or last weekend? Because I remember Oh, okay. Maybe it was just since our last.
I think it was since our last event. I think it was this past weekend.
No, I could have swore he did it the weekend before then too. Either way, this has been recent.
Yeah, and granted, as
Maybe
he even said,
it might have just gotten reposted.
maybe it got reposted. But anyway, he shot a 19 under. As he said, kind of soft pars. It was only 1036 rated. I know.
That tells you almost everything you need to know, that a 19 under.
It does. I mean, I think he bested the field by like 7 strokes, or 6 or 7 strokes, though, when he did it. But he said that course is probably more closer to like a 12 under par, or that his score would be closer to a 12 under par. So Corey Ellis, either way, great round, shooting 19 under, no matter what happens, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pars and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 eagles. That says a lot.
Yeah, and I only say all this because he made a post. Once the number was out there, he made a post saying, before the internet gets a hold of this, I'm going to tell you guys, yes, the pars were a little off, so on and so forth. This is more like a 12 under, because he knew as we say, the internet would internet and immediately come after him as if it was his fault. You know, what ultimately it was. Yeah, the pars were set at. So, this was back on November 4th. And he said, before all the comments come, the par was definitely soft compared to what I've been playing on tour. It would have been, on a tour event, it would have been a negative 12 most likely. But nonetheless, technically, I shot a 19 under on an 18-hole sanctioned event. I played solid golf this weekend, and he got to sleep in his own bed. So, very cool, and I was one of the first to post on that and said, dude, who cares what the internet says? A, you came out with the win, and B, you had a solid round no matter how you look at it. So congrats to Corey Ellis on that, though, which is pretty cool. Not too many people can say that in any capacity.
No, not at all. And then finally, in this time of decreasing and scaling down, one company stands above the rest.
They're so trashy.
They are kind of a trashy company, isn't it?
A little bit.
Trash Panda. Trash Panda moves into a new headquarters, a larger headquarters. They're calling it HQ 5.0. So they are moving to a bigger warehouse. Now, granted, they were probably in a pretty small warehouse before. So,
well, a couple of garages.
Yeah, the garages
being some of the early ones. Yep,
exactly. Those were probably 1, 2, and 3, and then now they're on headquarters 5.0. And you can follow them at Trash Panda Disc Golf on Instagram and probably other places as well. But they talk about their new headquarters in a small warehouse facility, which is going to be great for them. So congratulations to Trash Panda,
it's about
friends of the show.
Yeah, it's about time we probably get an update out of Jesse. I think that'd be a good idea.
I think it would be.
Some other updates that we saw was that Bill Nye the Science Guy was out again playing, and he made his own post on social media that he was playing just this weekend. Tita Ugalde had posted also just today, say, a fun day at the Grove with Stork Roddick and Innova teammates, Bill Nye, watching him park hole 22 with a Rolo, and Jennifer Allen almost ace it with a Mako 3 as they were out at Oak Grove. So pretty cool.
People talk about a lot of like dream foursomes. I think maybe having Bill Nye and Stork in my foursome, not to mention Tina, would maybe be up there for me, just as a fan of the sport. You know, I know a lot of people like, I want, Climo and Macbeth and things like that.
Sure.
Like, that's all great, but Bill Nye the Science Guy here, I don't know. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Also, in other news that gets talked about is some of the action that takes place down in Florida. I was just looking that some of the Throwdown the Mountain registration has become open, and we know that those spots usually go very quickly. Obviously, I've been part of that event for quite some time, but some form or another of registration is open. Right now, it looks like PDGA ratings of 1,000 and above for MPO, and then all the other divisions are open for registration right now from the Masters and age-protected pros for the final weekend. There's 4 separate weekends, so you're wondering, what is he even talking about? Well, I'm talking about the final weekend. I see that that's all open. And some exciting news. The Cold Turkey, which I'm hosting in a little less than 2 weeks now, or 3 weeks, I don't know when it is, it has officially is officially getting some support from our friends over at Discmania. So big shout out to Discmania. I haven't even updated the site just yet, but big shout out to them as we're getting some really cool custom stamp molds that I've been told maybe don't even exist anywhere else right now.
What?
Some molds that have never been custom stamped yet, and I think I'm going to have some access to those that I'm working with to make that player pack a little extra special. So that's all in the works. Big shout out. Somebody just posted on the wall today asking what the player pack is. I'm still working on a pretty significant player pack, as I always go super heavy on those, along with giving you a free pizza for lunch from the local bar. But Discmania, I wanted to give them a little shout out because excited to have them partnered up with me for the Cold Turkey 19, which will be taking place in a couple weeks down there in southeastern Wisconsin on November 30th. And December 1st. And if you can't commit to all day, one of those 2 days, depending on the division, we have the Flex Start that takes place during Saturday over at the Red Fox course, same parking lot. You just play the Red Fox 9-hole course twice to make up an 18-hole Flex Start round. So that's available as well. It's all out on Disc Golf Scene. So yeah, lots of good stuff. And if you're looking for boxes, well, I'm still your guy. My Disc in a Box, fully stocked and replenished right now, shipping out hundreds of boxes almost every day to someone somewhere. So if you need boxes to protect your discs that you're shipping to other people, I've got you covered.
That's a good idea to protect your box.
Protect your disc in a box.
That too.
And you can bag it before you ship it.
Definitely.
You need to, sometimes people double bag it.
I don't know if that's proven to
For
be any
extra
helpful.
protection.
I don't know if that's
A 2 mil or a 4 mil bag. I got you.
all right. That's good.
Yeah, not a problem. All right, let's read some stuff off the board. I see you're getting Patreon ready, and I'm going to read some things off the board. Tim Courts says, 2017 Idlewild dude got hit in the face about 10 feet from me. Yeah, as we're going back to some of those things. Also, speaking of which, this weekend I had the pleasure...
Getting hit in the face?
No, not yet. Final round featured Matthew Blakely, a name that you and I are more familiar with, as he was kind of, he's a little more old school. Matt's 42 and made the long trek. Obviously, good payout, but just he even said, it's like it's a really wooded track, and if I want to keep up in the MPO division, he finished in the top 3 or 4 at Pro Masters Worlds a couple years ago. But if I want to keep up in the MPO division, playing a wooded track gives me better odds, and here he was on the lead card in the final day. So he was proving just that. But I know Tim was excited that a fellow guy from Ohio was being represented down at the tournament.
And a fellow
this
old
weekend.
guy. So
yeah, so very cool to see. That was the first time I've ever, I think, no, it's not the first time. I did cover Blakely back in like 2017 in Dayton, maybe. So, but a guy who has like a full-time job, like a 9 to 5, regular job, but then shows up and still performs well this weekend. It was pretty cool to see. How much is a CE Glow Eagle worth? No idea.
I'll give you $12.
I
don't know.
I'm gonna guess if it's a Champion Edition Glow Eagle, I'm gonna say somewhere between 75 and 110.
Well, Kanjay says he saw one on eBay go for like $400.
Oh, let me back up. Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't seen those, but I have.
Tim says
Tim
says Matthew Blakely won the Red, White, and Boom that you filmed.
Okay, well there you go. I covered that.
I guess you did.
And the only reason why I said 75 to 110, I feel like the CE market is clearly not what it was 6, 8, 10 years ago. The Champion Edition market was minimum of $100 for damn near every CE disc that you had that was pristine or new. And then it only went up from there. And now I feel like, again, maybe I'm just not searching in the right places. Now I feel like you'd be hard pressed to get more than 150 for that. I could be dead wrong. I hope for your sake I'm dead wrong. I would feel like 150 would be tops. Sure. And you'd need to find a fellow old school collector that really love them in order to hit that market just right.
Okay, $13. I'll give you $13.
Oh, well, okay. High bid coming in from Johnny.
Just saying, nobody else right now
I'd
is
give him
bidding.
20.
Ah, I'm not going that high. Sorry.
All right. For that, I have one. I don't know if I'd ever sell it, so I might throw it. I mean, let me say this for what it's worth. If you have no true attachment or sentimental value to it, and it may likely crack the first time you throw it in some Michigan winter, which you probably won't do, but if you did, it may split. I would go ahead and sell. If you could get north of $125 for it, I would take that if I were you. That's just me. I should go through my CE and let some of it go. Now that we say that.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. Bricks and cards continue to be a topic of conversation. We see lots of people posting either what they got, how they got it. Some duplicates are out there and available for people. I think I got a message from Brixton just today talking about orders. Some stuff I'll share with you offline, some big secret stuff. But I do continue to see that, as we all know, it's just a matter of fast forward 5 years, like anything else collectible. Will the market be as hot? Will it be hotter? Are these good investments right now?
Well,
or are we going to see any of it fall off? And then does someone like a Dylan Cease being involved in any capacity, and the likes of an Adam Hammis, who's so hot to trot about?
Here you go, Terry. Why did the old cards suddenly become valuable?
The 2016s,
Yeah.
like the originals.
Yeah.
Scarcity.
Okay, but when did that happen?
During seemingly the COVID boom.
Okay. Who was president during COVID boom?
Trump.
Who just got elected?
Putin.
No, Trump.
Trump. Okay.
So in 4 years, all these cards are going to be worth a lot more. I'm just saying it fits the narrative. I can
hear.
Hey,
Will they be worth more or less than the 3 pairs of gold sneakers I bought? That's
probably more.
That's where I put most of my money.
That's good.
And I bought a watch.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I bought some NFTs. Some Trump NFTs. Are those still worth a lot of money?
I'm just
because
looking
my
for bang
Bitcoin
for
is
my
worth
buck.
a lot of money right now.
That's what I hear, and people were just literally talking about it in the chat tonight.
Yeah.
That Bitcoin has yet again reached another new high, and Ricky Wysocki.
His Bitcoin bonus, because I'm fairly certain he held on to it.
Yeah,
was originally 250,000.
Mm-hmm.
Now I believe I thought I saw worth like 450.
I'll do the. I know it's getting talked about more and more, especially lately. And if we go back just 5 hours, and if you go to Ricky Wysocki's Bitcoin bonus on X, you will see Ricky's Bitcoin was worth 250 on January 4th, 2022. It's currently worth $479,950. So we're going to round up to $480,000.
Good for Ricky. That's all I say. Good for Ricky.
Like anything though, it's only
it could drop down in a year. It could be worth half of what it's worth.
I'm gonna follow that account. I somehow wasn't. I'm gonna officially follow it right now.
Yeah, I stopped. I
guess there's not. Yeah, there's nothing I'm gonna do to change.
Once a day they're gonna post or something like
true.
that and send it.
I really need the update about once a month.
Yeah,
so maybe I should unfollow right
my
away.
1/4 Bitcoin that I've had since like 2017, chugging right along, Terry.
Heck yeah. Did you see that the guy who had hundreds or thousands of Bitcoins that had it on a hard drive, but then threw it away?
Yeah, and then he's going through the dump.
And then he's going to the dump
and now
to excavate it, and now he was suing the
was
dump?
because they're stopping him from excavating anymore, I think.
Yeah.
And I mean, the dude's had like 4 years to find it, and he can't find it. I'm sorry. Like, it sucks, but give it up. I mean, if that's what you want to spend your day doing, your weekends, sure.
But yeah, I mean,
Sure.
we're not talking about, I'm digging around in some garbage for $50,000. Or isn't it like 70 million?
Sure.
Roughly?
Sure. Yep.
Like, you would dig in some trash for 70 million.
Yes, I would, depending. But the odds of knowing where that trash was, and I mean, you're literally digging through years of trash trying to find a hard drive and hope that it still works and spins up.
Could you?
And because the off chance that, I don't know, it got wet and moldy. And it was probably
finding
it probably wasn't even a solid state drive at the time. It was probably a regular disk drive, disk based. Like the odds are so slim. But I mean, personally, I get it. He's probably causing issues at the dump in that, hey, he doesn't want people to dump in this spot anymore because you're not want to dump.
No, don't dump there. I haven't searched that yet.
I understand why. As the dump, I can just be like, hey, bro.
But he's offering them a cut, right? That's what I thought I saw. Is he's offering, if it's found and recovered, he's offering them X millions basically as like a bonus or whatever as well. Yeah. But now,
and again, if they were to let him keep doing it, fine. From my perspective, what harm does it do? Maybe he's causing problems.
He might be disrupting some form of
rotation.
The process Yeah, one hell of a treasure hunt, I think, is an understatement. Maybe you know this. Did he accidentally throw away the drive? Isn't that the story? That
I don't know if he accidentally
or if he threw it away because
he didn't think it was worth anything at the time. Maybe
who throws away a hard drive?
Seriously? I've thrown like dozens of hard drives.
I suppose. You're an IT guy, but yeah. Huh. I don't know. That it definitely is wild to think there's 70 million or whatever the number is sitting out there in a dump, and
there's probably $70 million sitting at the bottom of the ocean somewhere. Great, like you might not know it. There's been shipwrecks for the last 300 to 400, 500 years that we probably haven't had a bunch of gold bullion or something on it, and it's probably sitting there. All that booty. It's just sitting there shaking in the bottom of the ocean.
Trying to get to you and that booty.
So I get it. I understand. I would probably be doing the same thing, but whatever. Like,
you're smart. Yeah. All right, debatable. What's Bitcoin gonna get to?
I have no idea. If I knew, I would have bought more of it back in 2017 instead of just literally hedging my bet to be like, I'm going to spend
$100 on it.
I think it was $250. Yeah. I think I spent $250 in 2017 because $1,000 was too much. I don't want to buy a whole Bitcoin. Jeez, like that's a lot of money.
Yeah, because a whole Bitcoin is worth roughly $90,000 right now.
It's worth about $90,000, and it was worth $1,000 back then. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to happen. I was big brained back then. I would have bought 10 of them. What's it going to go to? It's hard to say with the way that the political landscape looks. It could go either way. Honestly, it's so
volatile.
It's so volatile. Like with the administration that's in there, they seem to be pro Bitcoin, but I honestly think that could flip with any given weekend, and then suddenly the administration does something and they're like, yeah, we're not interested in this and we're not going to do anything, and it could literally plummet $20,000 in a day. Just yesterday or today it fluctuated like $4,000 to $5,000. So I wish I knew, and I would because if I knew if it was going to go up more, I'd literally buy some more.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not going to because I don't know, and I'm I've got the little 1/4 Bitcoin that's stuffed away into a site, and that's all. It's all it's going to sit.
Do you want to put it on a hard drive for me to hold on to?
Nope.
You're no fun. I mean, because that's a gamble in itself.
Yeah, and at the point that I sell it, at some point, because I think it's worth like $20,000 right now.
Mm-hmm.
I have to pay taxes on that.
Yep.
So that you're talking probably $8,000 in taxes, right? Probably 40%, 30%, whatever my tax bracket is. 2%, because I lie. Right? I mean, who doesn't, right?
Right.
I'm gonna have to pay taxes on it and whatnot. So it's kind of like it's one of those little things. It's to me, it feels like an old 401k that you just don't move. Like, oh, cool. I had a 401k that I worked at this company for like 3 or 4 years. It just keeps going, and I should move it over to my Fidelity account or something crazy, and I just don't. It just, I'm not paying any fees probably on it, and it just keeps kind of accumulating. That's how I feel about this. And if I had a good answer, man, I wouldn't be sitting next to you.
You wouldn't be sitting next to me.
I wouldn't.
That's a
No,
good point.
I wouldn't, Terry.
Nor should you be. All right. Dogecoin is going to be hot next. Trump just put Elon in his cabinet. Who knows? There's all those meme coins and other things that have come and gone.
Yeah, are we going to see a whole new influx of meme coins over the next 4 years? I don't know.
I mean, Dogecoin got up to like 70 cents maybe at one point, and then plummeted down to like 3 cents.
Yeah.
So, throughout the course, I mean, there's literally a guy on YouTube who was called the Dogecoin millionaire, and he had invested a ton of money in it and became a millionaire, and now it's worth almost nothing compared to what it was. And no, he did not sell any of it. Wow, it's up to 37 cents, which is considerable spike in the last how many days? What, just the last couple of days?
Probably the last week.
Okay.
Literally,
last time I looked, it was around 10 cents. And now
now
we
it's worth
are
like 37 cents.
Okay.
And granted, we're seeing
maybe my daughters can go to college now with all that Dogecoin I've got.
You and Mahmood. We're sorry, Mo. I'm sure I probably shouldn't tell everybody your secret investments. I don't even know if he still has it, but I know for a while he was all hot and bothered about watching it. I think he had a small sum in there and was just kind of having fun. But within the last week, everything has kind of spiked up. Is it going to stay there? Doubtful. Nothing ever kind of does. It'll probably drop and plateau and slowly crawl as things probably should in our economy. So.
It's going to be a wild ride no matter how we look at it, that's for sure. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. This upcoming weekend, real quick, is, back at it, and it's the PLO.
Oh.
Phoenix Ladies Open.
So you're flying out to Arizona.
Paul J. Sacco law offices of Paul J. Sacco, who is the primary sponsor out there. I know that they have more than 100 women signed up. In fact, it's up to 128 women. So super excited to be out there, and I'm going to take a quick look because it's been just a few days since I looked at registration. I will likely put together some form of montage of as many players as I can from round 1, and then round 2 on the FPO side, I will have full shot-by-shot coverage and out at the Vista course. And I think a recent ad, Jennifer Allen, who I don't think was signed up until recently.
Okay.
Jennifer Allen, she'll be trying to knock off last year's champion in Shelly May Lai. So Shelly May took it down last year, if I recall. And so she'll have to go up against Jen as one of her main competitors. Taylor, who we've seen on social media coming out of Oregon, she is signed up. I don't know if she was before, but she is now. Violet Main, who I've met at this event before. Carissa Dedman, who I've seen at this event.
It's a really good field.
So it's pretty cool
names.
that so many of these names look familiar, especially from this event in years past. So, looking forward to it for sure.
Ed Root on the board asks, any idea when the DGBT voting results come out?
Yes, I have no idea when.
Nope, not a clue. I'd guess another few weeks, another week or two.
Voting just ended a couple days ago.
Correct. I think on Thursday. Because on Tuesday I thought it was going to end on Wednesday, but I think it went until like Thursday or Friday. So,
yeah, don't know. They will certainly be making the most of social media posts and engagement as they should when that becomes announced, or when that gets announced
next week. So you're going to be at the Phoenix Ladies Open.
Yep, this weekend.
Yep.
I'll be back.
I'm going to be 3 teeth lighter, Terry. That's how I lose weight. I just have the dentist pull out wisdom teeth.
Do they hurt you?
Not at all.
But they think they need to come out.
They recommended that they come out.
Yeah, that's just big dentists getting all up in your mouth.
It is. And I've thought about you.
Okay.
Of all things. They say as I get older, it could cause more crowding with my lower teeth. My upper ones finally have one there, which is fine.
So you're saying you want to come to Bangkok to get this done?
Yes. Take a wild guess as to what this is going to cost me.
3 wisdom teeth extracted,
as well as I'm going to get a filling put in.
Okay, well, that's a couple $100. So 3 wisdom teeth extracted. I honestly have no idea, but I'm going to guess to the tune of $3,900.
Oh, not quite that high.
$3,200.
Not quite that high.
$2,600.
Just right around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, my insurance paid like $600. What's the point? As of
Don't
today,
get me started.
I know. As of today, then, when our HR department says, "Hey, you have to fill out your stuff for insurance for next year, everybody in the company, so sign up for all your insurance, your dental, your vision, your health care, right at the end of the year." And all I kept thinking is like, why? Why do I do like why do I have like $17? No, I think it's 34 because it's 17 for me, 17 for my son, taken out of my paycheck every single week for this crap dentist.
Oh, the fact that you're only paying that much?
I think so, yeah. Per paycheck, yeah, comes out.
Most people have like hundreds of dollars taken out.
Not for dental.
Oh, okay. You're saying specifically for dental.
Just
okay,
for dental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll admit, I think
No, healthcare is a whole nother thing.
I think I'm stealing this from maybe a comedian or someone else that I saw this recently. Why the fuck isn't your dental and your vision part of, your healthcare?
Yeah.
Why is it even separate in the first place?
I don't.
Are your eyes not part of your overall health? Are your teeth and the preventative maintenance that goes into your mouth and or issues with it not part of your overall health? Why? What slimy genius at one point said, you know what? You have health insurance. Oh, but that doesn't include your eyes or your mouth.
Maybe because
How?
Maybe because those are the most common problems, like eyes with glasses that need constant changing, and your teeth that you always go and have to get them. I don't know, Terry. I don't know the answer, but
it's funny. I've never thought about it until somebody.
I thought about it
specifically.
Before,
somebody this weekend. I was watching something and said, "How in the world is your dental and your vision? Why is that separated out?" Yeah. And not just part of an overall already expensive healthcare plan?
I don't know. It sucks. It's dumb. Universal healthcare, buddy.
I'm just going to say we're incredibly blessed that we're in a position to be able to afford some healthcare, and even and it sucks, but I can't fathom the idea of having none and then getting hit with.
I was thinking about like how unfortunate it would be for someone and who is less fortunate than me that doesn't have like oh cool, guess what, you need to get as an adult you need to get your wisdom teeth out, pay us $2,000. That would suck. If I were them, I'd be like, no, get bent. I guess my teeth will just compact and get crooked.
Yeah, which then leads to other problems.
Exactly. It just so frustrating.
I hear you.
Yeah, not a political rant, just in general.
No, just an overall
state of healthcare rant.
Crazy John celebrated a birthday.
Happy birthday,
as
Crazy
of
John
I think
Brooks.
Just yesterday. Crazy John, who some of you know, everyone should know, but some of you do. Somebody just posted on his wall tonight after I wished him a happy birthday and said, because I said happy birthday, Crazy, love you, and somebody said you love him, make him DGPT royalty. To which I said, that is way above my pay grade. You think anyone listens to me? Yeah, unfortunately, none of that is my call or my decision as to where Crazy's contractual opportunities come about. That has nothing to do with
it. And
me.
the DGPT isn't hurting for people to work for them. And unfortunately, Crazy John is kind of on the back burner when it comes to these things because we've got bigger names. He would be fun for something like an all-star event.
Certainly.
I think that was where he would shine. I don't necessarily know if he would fit the mold of what they're going for right now with regular commentary. But he's also a very talented person. He could probably make something work. But again, not our pay grade. We don't worry about that.
Yeah, none of that is.
Let me give you Jeff Spring's direct email and phone and text.
Yeah. And that did bring up an interesting point as I worked with a gentleman this weekend talking about the overall media landscape within Disc Golf Network, to which, again, you are essentially just on the fringe of in some capacity, that the media landscape isn't, like a lot of jobs in disc golf just in general, isn't exactly hurting for people that want in a competitive industry that is also experiencing a little bit of deflation.
Yeah,
right? So
we've got less events next year.
Yeah, less events, and the sport isn't growing as quickly as it was. and you have more people than ever that want in on some form of job within disc golf, it just makes for things to be that much more competitive, and or just maybe not practical or realistic to be involved in some of those opportunities that may have looked like they were abundant a couple of years ago. You may have to go a different angle, at least for now, and carve your own niche. So, all right, I think unless the crew out there has other things they want to add, I think we could get to
our Patreon drawing.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. I'm going to start again, probably closer to the end of the year, looking at how we're going to restructure our Patreon support, just because Patreon's forcing us to go away from the per creation billing,
instance creation.
So we'll probably have to go to like a yearly or a monthly support, but we'll get that all worked out. And we want to thank everybody who is a supporter of SmashBoxxTV at patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. Excuse me. We have 119 people eligible for our giveaway this week. You can become eligible by being a Patreon supporter or by going to smashbox.tv/weekly giveaways, all one word. And if you enter in there, that week will put you in. If you are forced to go in week after week and fill that out, though, unlike Patreon, which just you automatically get entered. So we have 119 people eligible. Terry Miller, what number should we generate?
We're going the first one. We had first time guest on the show tonight in Noah Meintsma. Super happy to have him. And yeah, it was his first time. So I think the first number we pull, that's our winner.
All right. It's sorted by first name.
I love it. Let's see what we've got.
All right. The first number we generate is 81.
So it went by first name. So it's going to be a name that starts with a T.
Wrong. 81 is a name that starts with an M.
Told you.
Mike Schwartz.
Heck yeah, Mike.
Mike Schwartz, thank you very much. He was a Studio Mini, a Patreon supporter. He's staring at us right now over there. Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike.
Oh, giving me that creepy look. I like it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Mike.
He's always checking you out from the back.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Mike, for your Patreon support. We will get this all situated and make sure that
we get some goodies out to you. As I've offered to at least one other person, I said we've got some pretty cool stuff coming in terms of my cold turkey options, or I have plenty of other things at home, including some of the Soar jerky that I worked with Soar a few weeks ago. In the support of Bud Hill and everything else that they had going on, and then some other random discs and or shirts. So we've got a plethora of options to choose from. So I'll be sending you an email and double checking, first of all, that I have your correct mailing address. That's always the number one problem, or confirmation that needs to be done. And then if I can, I would like to get you something that suits your preference as best as I can. Ed says, folks, smash the like button. Yeah, we appreciate everyone that tunes in here. Of course, we know that so many more people also go out and download us, whether you do it through Patreon and you get the feed early if you're a Patreon subscriber.
And you get it ad-free as well through
Ad-free.
Patreon support. Otherwise, we stick one of those ads in there to each one.
Yeah, for Blue Apron or something. Can we get a Blue Apron ad? You know, we don't sell out as much as we should.
No. Who do you want to sell it to?
High bidder.
Well, okay. That's a good answer.
We really don't. I mean, we may ramble for hours and talk about things that may sound like ads, but we don't take any real advertising here.
No, zero. We are advertising free, short of the one that we put into the actual podcast.
Which you're not even determining.
No, it's just random. It could be Amazon. It could be Blue Apron. It could be Pete's Smoke Shack. I don't know. But yeah, we haven't really done.
If you want to advertise with us, you want us to sell out, you're going to force us to sell out, we could do that for the right price.
It's not even a big price, I don't think.
We're cheap, we're easy.
Well,
we could be.
For the right price.
For the right price. With that, it's I'm going to admit I still have some sleep to catch up on after a long weekend, and looking forward to heading out to Arizona and capturing some PLO action that will not be next day, per se, but I will be capturing some action out there. Excited to see what one of the largest women's event in the year. It's the 18th annual Phoenix Ladies Open presented by the law offices of Paul J. Sacco. They absolutely, disgustingly spoil the participants out there, and I'm just excited to have any role in capturing some of the fun that's out there. 128 women signed up currently. I think that'll probably grow to even a few more. So looking forward to it in every possible way. So with that, that is SmashBox TV podcast 532. Thank you to Noah for joining us during the regular show. Hopefully you guys got some good insight as to other things going on, including other tournaments happening. Make sure you check out the Paul Macbeth Foundation and the auctions that are taking place for both this and experiences. If you want to go out for a special night on the town with Paul Ulibarri or have some other fun experiences, you could bid on all of those at paulmacbethfoundation.org. For Johnny VM, the disc golf guy, that's 532. We'll see you next week when you step inside the Smashbox.